Hello everyone. I hope you can hear me and see me okay. I'm working away on some signs this afternoon, and I thought I would pop on quick. This is just kind of last minute to show you the process of doing the Mod Podge Reverse graphic transfer technique on my wooden signs. I have lots of questions on them, and I thought I would take you along by the step-by-step instructions. Okay, I'm just going to turn this down. And if you have any questions, let me know down in the comments, because while we're live, I can answer them all for you. This is kind of, it's not really a tricky technique, but it takes a bit of practice and a little bit of just being patient to do it. So I have some of these signs already made up. I've cut them up. I've made them kind of chippy and rustic, and painted them with some brown stain, and then I put on top of that some of my homemade chalk paint, and then now it's ready for the signs to go on. Hi Sonia, thanks for joining. So as far as the graphics go, these work best with a laser jet printer. You can use an inkjet printer. It's a little bit trickier and you have to go a little bit slower because you rub the ink off really easy. But if you have a laser jet printer, then you're golden. This works really well for that. I have all kinds of graphics in I have all kinds of graphics in my Etsy store. Sorry, I've got lots of people making messages here and I'm trying to go back and forth, so if I get distracted, it's because I'm reading your messages. I have lots of graphics in my Etsy store. They come with 3 files. You're going to get a JPEG, a PNG, and you're going to get a PNG reversed. So that's the file that I'm using for these signs, is you want to have your text or your graphic reversed to do this. And I have, thanks Barb, I'm glad you're enjoying my videos. I got New Jersey, South Carolina, the Black Hills of South Dakota, Kissimmee, Florida. That's awesome. Thanks so much for popping in on here. So the first one that I'm going to do is workshop. This one's really great for Father's Day or Christmas presents or something like that. And you size them up to fit your project. You can do that right in your Word program. You can do it in Google Docs, whatever program that you're familiar with. And you can size it up, measure it, and then make it for your project. I really like using Mod Podge Matte. That's my go-to for making my signs. I'm going to just stand up here so I can have a better eye of what I'm doing. I always like to put the Mod Podge on the paper, not on the actual wood. That works the best for me. Now the first trick to doing this technique is not putting too much on. When you're doing this technique, I've seen so many people, they put a really, really thick coat on. It just doesn't work well. You want just enough just to cover the paper, and then flip it over and put it exactly where you want it. Just kind of eyeball it. I'm not very good about getting my ruler out. Probably I should more often, but I'm usually pretty good with my eye. And then just rub it down flat. Now I have a full tutorial in one of my playlists on how to size these to fit your projects. You can make them bigger and smaller, whatever works for them. You can even make them really large. You can print off on 2 or 3 different pages to make a bigger sign, and I'll show you that one. I've made one up to show you that. So what have we got going here? Texas, Kentucky, Dallas. I'm in Canada, if you guys aren't familiar. I'm in Ontario, Canada, and we haven't been able to go to the States. The borders have been closed, and it was just announced that they're opening up the borders for us, and we can go back and visit all you guys in the States coming November, so that's exciting. We can kind of, in the early spring, chase some of that warm weather that you guys get before us and have a little bit of a holiday. Okay, so I'm just going to put on the second one. Let me know down in the comments if you guys have ever tried this technique and how you've made out with it, whether it's been an easy process or you've had a little bit of a struggle with it, and maybe I can help you out and guide you along the way. I also have Facebook and Instagram where you can send me pictures. I've had some people that have had some struggles with making signs like this, and I've guided them along to come over to my Facebook or my Instagram, because you can send pictures there. I can have a look at it, and I probably right off the bat can tell you where you've made your mistake, or help you, guide you along to help you make your signs a little bit easier. So that's an option for you. Okay, so the next one I have is Vintage Junkie. This is one of my favorite ones. Actually, this is one that I like on my t-shirts. I put this one on a couple of them. A light coat across the whole graphic. And then we're ready to flip it over. And these make great Christmas presents. You can personalize them. If you're handy with making your own graphics, you can design your own graphics and make up signs really affordably. Most of my wood I very seldom buy wood. We have a great big huge wood pile at our dump, actually, that you can go to and you can pick through all the good pieces of wood. So that's where a lot of the pieces come from. If you had to buy a lot of lumber for all these signs, our lumber is so expensive right now, so that makes it a little bit. Have your friends save little bits and pieces of wood, and you can practice this technique on that. Okay, I was going to show you how you can make these graphics on 2 sheets of paper. You're going to put your, okay, 1 second here. I tried it. Does yours show a lot where the paper was when taking it off after it dried? I'm going to sand and redo. Okay, so sometimes what happens after you've rubbed off all the paper, you'll get like a little bit of a haze, a white haze, where it looks like you haven't rubbed off all the paper. What I like to do is I like just to take that little area, dip my finger, I have a little dish of water and a little cloth, dip my finger in it and just work on that little area until all that paper has rubbed off. Now the other thing is, when you put a top coat on this, and that's if you've gotten most of the paper off of it. When you put a top coat on these signs, a lot of that haze is going to disappear and you won't see it. I love to use a polyacrylic water-based sealer on all of my signs. I don't like using Mod Podge as a top coat. It dries very cloudy, and it does leave, it's just not a nice top coat. So I would recommend, if you find that you're having that haze and you can't get rid of it after you've tried to rub it all off, 99% of the time, once you put your polyacrylic sealer on the top, that will go away. Okay, so this one I have put into my Word program, and my sign was actually bigger than the piece of paper that I wanted to do. So you can move your graphic around and make it bigger than, I hope I'm explaining this right. You can make it bigger than the piece of paper, print off that section, move it back up to where it is in the screen, and then print off that section, that second section. And that's what I've done with this. I printed off this piece first, and I'm going to put that one at the front of my arrow. So these ones I've cut out into an arrow, and I think that looks really nice on these old vintage graphics. And this is one of my favorite graphics too, East Side Dairy. I use this a lot, and it's also available in my Etsy store too. Okay, just a light coat on there. I'm going to stand up so I can see what I'm doing. Get it where I want it. And I have some signs here that are all dry, and I'm ready to rub the paper off. So if you stick around, you can watch me do that too, and that might help you out with some of your sign making. And another coat. Now there are other brands other than Mod Podge. I know Art Deco makes a really good decoupage solution also. It just depends on what you can find in your area. I'm always able to find the Mod Podge, so that works out well for me. Okay, we're ready to put this one on. get it signed exactly where I want it. Now these signs that I've made, I wanted them to look really rustic, so I actually, around the edges, I don't know if you can see or not, I actually took my X-Acto knife and chunked out all along here. So then when I sanded it, it gives it a real rough kind of wavy edge on it and just makes it look more rustic and old looking. But that's what I'm trying to achieve with these signs. Okay, I got one more. Coffee. Great for a coffee bar. A great Christmas gift for somebody that loves coffee and has kind of a farmhouse kitchen. We'll just get the Mod Podge on here. Okay. And thank you everyone for following along and supporting my channel. It has been amazing, all of the new followers that I've gotten over the last little bit, and I really do appreciate all your support. I try to, as it's getting very difficult because I'm getting so many, but I try to answer all of my comments. If you're having any problems, just leave a question and I hopefully can answer you, and I try to get back to you as quickly as I can. I usually in the mornings go through all of my comments and message back. So, okay, I got these all ready. Now that I've got these all done, set them aside for 24 hours. Don't touch them. Let that Mod Podge really dry really well. If you try to rub this off too soon before they're dry, you're going to rub those graphics right off and it's not going to be a success for you. So put them aside. If you're impatient like me, it's really hard. Set them aside though and don't touch them. So I'll finish those ones off tomorrow. So these ones I made yesterday and they're ready to have the paper rubbed off. So this is a coffee one. I have a little dish just of plain water. This is actually like an old tea towel that I just cut up into a little piece. And the trick here is just put a minimal amount of water on. You don't want this soaking wet. I have seen people do this technique and they soak it in water, and as soon as they go to rub it off, those graphics rub right off. You want just so the graphics just start to show through. Okay, hello from Manitoba. My husband's from Manitoba, Swan River. I watched a video of you creating words using a laser printer. Does that laser printer matter of the brand, or is it okay, so I have a Brother laser jet printer, only prints black. You can get laser printers that are colored also. They will work fine. Any brand of laser jet printer will work fabulous for this. I really like my Brother. I've had no problems with it at all, but any brand will work. Okay, so this is just, you can just start to see the graphics. I like just to take my little rag, always start in the center. I'll start in the center and just do circular motions, and that paper will just kind of rub right off. Now here's where just the practice and the patience come in. If you're rubbing too hard, you're going to rub those graphics off. I've been doing this for years. I've kind of mastered this technique. So, I mean, you guys will see me do this and you'll go, oh my gosh, you have no problems. I've made a lot of signs and put a lot of effort into them. So I know all the tricks and the tips. So I might make it look easy, but when I first learned, it did take a little bit of a knack to get used to. So just practice and your fingers will get the feel of how far you need to rub before you quit. So the first top layer, I kind of just like to use my little rag and just get the bulk of the paper off. These type of graphics are never ever perfect. Very rarely do I do a sign where some of the graphic or a little bit here and there doesn't rub off. So don't panic if you see a little bit come off, because that's just the nature of it. That's how this technique works. Oh my goodness, got lots here. Flin Flon here, but living in Brandon, perfect. You guys are probably a little bit chillier than we are out here. From California, hello, Indiana. I will be retiring again soon, so I started getting back into making crafts, home decor stuff. I never knew how to create decor using words on wood, but I want to learn. Well, you got lots of tips here. 24 hours. I did overnight, so the next time I'll wait longer. I could see where the edges of the paper had been. Yes, I'll show you as I'm going along here. Now, even overnight, like I'm saying 24 hours, but probably by tomorrow morning, these will be dry. Also depends on your temperature. I mean, if it's really humid out, it's going to take longer for it to dry, but once the humidity goes away and it's dry and your heat's on in your house, these are going to probably dry overnight. Now, the other thing that you should be mindful of is this technique works best on a white background. If you're using a darker colored paint and then you're putting this graphic on top of it using this method, you will see the outline of all of the Mod Podge all the way around it. Because Mod Podge dries almost clear but not quite. So when you're using the white as a background, it blends in way better. I did some pumpkins using this technique, some little orange ones. You might have seen my video on that using scrap 2x4s. And it's a little bit trickier because I used some orange paint, and when you rub the graphics off, you sometimes can see where the edges were. If you're finding that, you can take your paintbrush with a little bit of paint from the background color and then just paint along the edges of your letters and blend it in a little bit better. But my best results are always on a white background and chalk paint. Chalk paint works the best too. I find if I'm using just a latex paint, even an acrylic paint is okay, but best results are with a chalk paint. I have some cedar fence pickets that I want to make signs out of, but they are not smooth. What do you suggest? Would love to do the reverse. Okay, so the other thing is you want to have a smooth surface. If you're having another thing, if you guys have been watching my videos, you might have seen me make I don't know if you can see it right here, the cool junk sign. I started into that and it was very rough, had a lot of grooves in it, and what a bugger it was. I mean, I was okay because I kind of have done this so much. I knew how much pressure to rub off and where to work away at it. But if you are a beginner, find a piece of flat wood with no grooves, something that's very smooth. So if your picket fences are not smooth, I would take the sander to them, get them as smooth as you can, and just try out the technique and see how it works for you. Okay, so I got the top coat off, and then I'm just going to take my fingers and just rub away, and you can kind of feel as you're doing this, the paper kind of ball up underneath your fingers, and this is where it gets kind of tedious. You just kind of rub away until you don't feel the paper anymore. And it's nice to see this done in real time because you can see how long it actually takes to make one of these signs. And I'm really jealous that you have some cedar fence pickets because they make amazing, amazing signs. Okay, I love your channel. Can you tell me what the name of the yellow you used on your you used in your craft room? Oh, okay, yellow. Yes, you can just see it peeking underneath here. I love this color. It's from Bear, and it's called Poached Pear. And I did my mirror behind me. You can't see that right now. And I did my shelf, and I love it. Poached Pear from Bear. And actually, I just went into, you can get it at Home Depot. I went into Home Depot and I just bought a sampler size of the color, and it was enough to do my mirror and my little shelf. Could you just Mod Podge the letters only instead of doing all the paper? Certainly you can. Yep, and that would just be like a decoupage. You could print them off without reversing. And then just decoupage them on your sign. And then you would want to make sure that you sealed it really well. Again, I would probably use the polyacrylic sealer to seal them up, and that would work great. Okay, so I can start to feel that this has got almost all the paper off of it. It's pretty close. And you can see some of it has kind of rubbed away here and there. I'll show you a close-up once I get finished here. But you can kind of see where a little bit is rubbed off here and here. And that's okay. I love that look because it just makes it kind of old and rustic looking. Okay, so that one's finished and that's ready for a top coat. I'll put a hanger on the back of it and it's good to go. So we're going to do this one. And again, you're just going to wet it until you can just start to see the graphics come through. I also on my channel, probably about a month ago, I did a video on a photo transfer with an inkjet. And so for all you people out there that don't have a laser jet, that are limited to a inkjet, check that one out because that might help you out on doing photo transfer. Okay. I mean to still do, but putting the Mod Podge on just the letters. Oh, okay, I see what you mean. You could probably, yes, but I have never done that. So maybe that's something that I might try out. It would probably be okay for doing something like this coffee sign, but this one that I'm doing right here where the letters are a little bit more intricate and smaller, it would probably be more difficult, but you probably could get away with just putting the Mod Podge on the actual black ink and see if it would work for you. It might rub off a little bit easier, like be a bit more rustic looking, but it would be worth a try. Oh, thank you so much. I went searching on Google how to create letters and words to put on wood, and your video came up, and I started to follow you. That's awesome, Eva. Thank you so much. I'm hoping you're finding lots of good content from Texas. I just tried your crackle effect with glue on a sign I had and loved how it came out. Thanks for all your amazing tips. I love using the crackle technique with the Elmer's glue. If you haven't tried that, it makes an amazing background on your signs. Kind of takes a plain piece of wood to that next level, and it's really simple. And you can do this technique right on top of your crackle paint. Works great. Are you using a sponge to remove the first layer? No, this is just actually a little piece of a tea towel. And that's all I'm using. I just kind of cut it up into a small piece, and like I said before, I like to use it in a circular motion just to take off that top layer of paper, and then once I have that top layer off, then I'll go over it with my fingers. I find if you use this right to the very end, you can't feel, like with your finger, you can feel the paper coming off, and when you're using this, you can't feel it as much, and it's easier to rub off the graphics by mistake. So this piece of wood here, I got a mess going on here. Always have a mess. This piece of wood here, it had a little indent in it, and you can see where the graphic rubbed right off, but that was because there was a chunk out of the wood. Again, I don't mind that look. Kind of just makes it look rustic. Gives it more of that farmhouse feel. I did try one cutting around the letters and doing them separately. Worked well. Lining up the word was harder. That's true. Well, that's really great. Actually, you know what? I'm going to try that because I always just put the Mod Podge on the whole project. But if you're wanting to use a different colored background that might be a little bit darker, cutting out the letters and doing it that way, you wouldn't have as much of the Mod Podge once it's dried showing through. Great tip. I did some face-up graphics and sanded the excess paper around the graphic away, sprayed it with a hairspray, then put a thin coat of Mod and attached it to the wood. Yep, that works great too. I actually tomorrow have a video coming up of 5 different ways to decoupage napkins onto wood. So if you're a beginner decoupager, that one might help you out too. And that'll be up tomorrow. Okay, so I've got the main part all rubbed off. And now I'm going to go in with my fingers, just back and forth, until I can feel all the paper has been rubbed away. And it just kind of takes practice. Now, I have a lot of people that have sent me pictures of having problems doing this technique, and they're doing it on that press board. A lot of the stuff that you get from the dollar store that's made on that press board, I find it really difficult to do this transfer on. I don't know if it's just maybe not as an absorbent wood or what it is, but the graphics just don't stick well to that. So if you're going to use any of that kind of wood, I would definitely make sure you put a couple coats of the chalk paint on top of it before you do your graphics, and to ensure that it will adhere better. Okay. I love your channel. Just subscribed a few weeks ago, and I really like this technique. I've learned so much, and all that's perfect. Thank you. I'm so excited. Napkins on wood. Yes. Yeah. And I got 5 techniques. They're all so easy. And most of you probably already know all of the 5 techniques, but I just go through step by step, because there are so many beginners out there that are just starting that will help you start out on your decoupage journey. So I did a video, when did I put it out? Yesterday? I did a video on how to decoupage on soap. It's something that's been around forever, since the 60s and 70s. I think it was really big. And I posted it, and it's done really well. I've had so many comments. People are really enjoyed it. But I had some people message me and say that I'm saying decoupage wrong. I don't know if it's a Canadian thing. They were saying that I should say decoupage, and I'm saying decoupage. And now I'm really confused, and I don't know what it is, because I think it's just my Canadian slang. So, I don't know. Let me know down in the comments how you say it. Decoupage or decoupage. I don't think I'm going to be able to change the way I say it now. I'm 53 and set in my ways. So I think I'm always just going to say decoupage. Okay, so that section right there feels pretty good. As I'm rubbing my fingers, I cannot feel any paper, and it feels pretty smooth. Okay. Thank you for your step-by-step videos. You're an amazing teacher. Thank you so much. How did you start making signs and crafting? I have actually been making signs for quite a few years. I have a local gal that has a store here, and I was making some signs, and she was buying them from me, and I just kind of took off from there. And then I decided, actually it hasn't been quite a year, I think it was in January, I thought I should just start making some tutorials so I can teach people how to make their own signs and the tips and tricks, because I'd mastered this technique so well. And I've always been into crafting, and so I started up my YouTube channel, and now I don't make as many signs as I used to because my channel takes up a lot of time, but I love making them. Okay, that one feels like I got all the paper off, and it's good to go. So it's ready to have the polyacrylic sealer put on the top of it. I love this graphic. Very farmhouse feel. Okay. Can you do the reverse transfer method on candles? No. And the only reason is because I don't think it would adhere to the wax really well. I think when you were rubbing off your transfer, it would just rub right off the wax. You have to have something that's going to grip onto that Mod Podge and keep it stay, or let it stay. I think it would just wipe right off. I have a dusty green as my background, and it worked great. Oh, perfect. Yeah, and sometimes it will. In BC, I'm in BC and say decoupage, but I've heard both. I know. I've heard both ways too, and now I don't know. Decoupage, decoupage, crafting, putting paper on stuff. Okay. And my daughter is in BC. My daughter is in Port Moody. Love your channel. San Francisco. I've been to San Francisco. Love San Francisco. Here in PA we say decoupage, but not sure if that's right or not. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I know a while back, Christina from DIY Mummy, she had an ongoing thing where decal and decal. And she had made a video, and there was quite a bit of controversy over how she was saying it and if it was the right way. So I got a giggle when this whole decoupage thing came up, because I thought, well, I guess this is the way us Canadians say it. Okay, so this sign actually has a lot of lumps and bumps in it, and it's going to be really rustic looking when it's done. I had a big chunk out of the wood here and here and here. So anywhere where there was a little bit of a dip in it, that seems to rub off really easy, and the graphics don't stay there. I'll show you a closer up. I say it the same way, but I'm also Canadian. I know us. Pennsylvania. Okay, so I'll just show you before I rub the rest of this off. Hopefully you can see this okay. You can see where there was a divot in the wood here where it's rubbed off, and here. But again, I don't mind that look. Makes it look old and rustic and antique. Now that we're getting into the holiday season soon, I'll be making a lot of these signs with my Christmas graphics. So I've got all kinds of Christmas graphics that I've been loading up in my Etsy store. If you have a chance, go and check them out, because I got some really cute ones. I love to do this technique on little ornaments as gifts. Works really well. Okay, just rub away here. We should all hit the like button to show our appreciation. Oh, thank you so much. I love the idea of recycling all this wood instead of ending up in the landfill. I tell you, everywhere I go, I'm always on the lookout for a wood pile, because I also like finding the old wood. It has so much more character than just going and buying just a simple plain piece of pine. I know not everybody has access to that, but if you can find any scrap wood, then go for it. And I have my shed where I do a lot of my videos, my little workshop, and I just have a pile in the corner of all those little pieces of wood that I collect, and I just use them up as I go along. And my mom and dad have a wood fireplace, and I always go to their place and raid my dad's wood pile and get all of the wood out of there that would make great signs. Okay, so this one's turning out really rustic. Now this is what I was meaning about. You never know how it's going to turn out. You just rub until it's all off, and what you get is what you get. Okay, from Alabama. I suck at decoupage. Well, if you're not really good at decoupage, then stay tuned for my decoupage tutorial tomorrow, because that might help you out and kind of up your decoupage game. Can't wait to do Christmas signs. Where do you sell your signs? I have a local girl that has a store here, and she takes my signs, so it's really nice. In Canada here, it's really expensive to ship, so it's never really been an option for me to sell my signs online, because by the time I pay the shipping, it's just way too expensive. So I'm very fortunate that I was able to find a local girl that really likes my signs and takes them. Okay, I think I got this one kind of rubbed off really well, and you can see how, I'll hold this up, I don't know if you can see it or not, you can see how this one turned out really rustic. Now these look much better once you have a coat of your polyacrylic sealer on top, and it's your preference whether you want to put on a matte finish, satin finish, glossy finish. It kind of like whatever is appealing to you right now. I've kind of been leaning a little bit towards a glossy finish lately. I've liked that look on them. And if you want these signs to go outside, like in the summertime, if you're making wooden signs for your porch or your deck, make sure you buy the outdoor formula for your polyacrylic sealer. And I have actually one sign out on my deck that I've had for probably, oh my goodness, probably 4 or 5 years, and I put the outdoor polyacrylic sealer on it, and it still looks beautiful. Out in the rain, snow, I leave it out year round actually, and it's still holding up really well. So if you're doing anything outside, give it a real good coat, polyacrylic sealer, outdoor, on the front and the back and the sides, seal it up really well, and these will stay outside for you. Okay, I went to our local Lowe's, and simple pine board pricing are through the roof. Yeah, I know. Our Home Depot here has a scrap wood bin, and I don't know, maybe you guys can check it out in your area, your local area, and it's just little end pieces that they throw out, and they put them all in a bin, and you can go in there and you can pick through it and see if there's anything you can use. And I actually get quite a bit of stuff out of there too, so that might be an option. But yeah, buying wood right now is so expensive. Do you have any tips on pricing signs? I don't really have a lot of tips on that, only because every area is so different. I mean, I could sell my signs for a certain price, and then somebody somewhere else could maybe get double the price. It's really hard to know. I think you maybe just go on your Facebook Marketplace or your Kijiji and see what other people are selling them for and gauge it from there. That might be the best tip that I can give you. Okay. There's always scrap wood on Facebook. Yeah, actually, Sammy from Unicorn Dust Designs, she always is finding wood off of Marketplace, and I'm always envious when I see the stuff that she's finding for free. People are giving wood away for free, so that's a great tip. Look on Marketplace and see if you can find anybody that has wood that they want to get rid of. Okay, I hope you guys aren't getting bored of me sitting here making all these signs, but I thought it was a great opportunity to kind of go over this in real time. I mean, it's simple when I'm making a 7 or 8 minute video on these techniques, and making it kind of look easy because I'm editing out a lot of things, but to see it in real time, it kind of puts it in perspective so you can see how long it takes and the actual steps all the way through. And of course, this isn't the only technique that you can use, obviously, to make signs. If you've got stencils, you can make them that way. If you have a Cricut, I'm actually just kind of getting into the whole world of the Cricut, and you can make signs with that. Decoupaging, it's kind of just seeing what you like the best and learning how to master it. And like I said at the beginning of the video, if you are looking to make some signs, I have all kinds of graphics in my Etsy store. They're all kind of divided into seasons and farm or kitchen, bathroom. Have a look through, see if there's anything you like. If you see graphics that you do like and you want to purchase them, make sure you use the code SAVE50, because for everybody on YouTube, I always give 50% off of all of my graphics. I think they're listed for $2, so you get them for $1. Use the 50% off, and you can download them right to your computer. Use them as many times as you want, and they're not copyrighted. So if you want to make a craft to sell or something, then I'd be more than happy for you to use them and do that. Oh, I love Sammy. Yes, I do too. I love Sammy too, and I love her channel. She's got a good sense of humor. You guys made me like the distressed look. I don't know. Everything I do, I don't think it looks right unless it's distressed. I cannot leave a sign just plain flat white. I always have to take a chunk out of it or make it look chippy and old. Have you ever used this technique on a piece of furniture? Yes, I have lots. So I have used this on the top of dressers. I have used it on dresser drawer fronts. I have used it on the inside of the dressers. I mean, the possibilities are endless. You could do it on anything. Can I use a picture of my grandson with this technique? You certainly can. If you have the LaserJet printer, print it off on the LaserJet. A photo works the exact same way as these graphics with a LaserJet printer. If you're using an inkjet printer, you can do it. It's a little bit more tricky. The graphics rub off a little bit easier, but I do have a tutorial. I think the title is Inkjet photo transfer with Mod Podge, you can look that up. And it's a step-by-step tutorial of me doing an actual photo on my inkjet printer with this technique. Hello everyone. You always have to put Mod Podge on top of paper when you do decoupage. Well, decoupage is it is the art of transferring paper onto a project. And decoupage essentially is a glue product. So you're using the decoupage to glue onto something. I have tried this with an inkjet printer and it came out okay. Yeah, I mean, some inkjet printers work perfect. I actually don't have any problems with my inkjet printer. It always comes out really well. And what brand is it? I think mine's HP. It wasn't an expensive one. It was just a cheapie, and it works well. The nice thing I like about having my inkjet and getting it to work is my laser jet printer only prints black. So if I want to do any sort of transfer with color in it, I have to use my inkjet, and I've always had pretty good success with it. So that's great that it worked out for you. I have a huge wood pile in my garage and outside. I'm known as the wood lady, all free. I'm one to recycle, reuse, and repurpose. Somebody after my own heart. Nothing better than a huge wood pile to pick through to make signs out of. I saw the tutorial, but I would love to get a laser one. Looks a bit more bold. Yeah, so the difference between the laser and the inkjet when you're doing this technique, especially for the graphics, I find the laser jet stays more of a bold, darker black color, where when you're using the inkjet, it kind of rubs off a little bit of the ink, so it gives it a lighter black color. I have a tutorial again on my channel if you want to flip back through and see it. It's probably been from over about a year ago. I compared the inkjet and the laser jet side by side, and that's a great tutorial to see the difference between the two. Any technique ideas for signing a louvered door bread box? Oh, okay, I know what you mean. So it's got all the slats on it. So you'd have to cut in between all of the slats that are going as the door moves up and down. I bet you could do this technique with that, and then just cut before you. I'm just wondering before you rubbed all the paper off, if you would cut the paper along each of the slats and then rubbed it off. I don't know. I've never done that, but now you have me intrigued to try it. Next time I'm at a thrift store, I'll have to find one and give it a try. I know, but I mean, after you use the Mod Podge to glue, do you have to put it on top of it to seal? Oh, okay, sorry. You can use Mod Podge as a sealer on top. I don't like Mod Podge as a top sealer. I prefer polyacrylic sealer, a water-based one. I find it gives it a much more professional finish. I find the Mod Podge kind of dries as a top coat, kind of cloudy and kind of thick looking, where with the polyacrylic sealer, it just looks nicer to me. I also find the polyacrylic sealer on top of this holds up better. Sometimes I find if it gets humid, the Mod Podge sometimes can get a little bit sticky and not cure very well on the top. Is your craft room always as clean? If you had seen my craft room, my son and his girlfriend were here on the weekend, and this is not a very big room. I don't even know how big it might be, 12 by 7 or 8. He spotted my Cricut and decided that he wanted to make some work shirts for himself, and by the time he was finished, this craft room was a write-off. So your answer, no, it's not always as clean. When I'm filming a video, I'm scrambling around 10 minutes before and making sure I'm picking up all of my stuff before I start filming. So it tricks you thinking that it's clean. Okay, Vintage Junkie. I love this one. We're getting close. I have one more left after this one, and then we'll wrap it up. But I hope I helped you out and answered any of your questions that you had about this technique. Now this one rubbed right off right through to the wood, so I must have had something that's where right here and here where the paint didn't adhere to it, but I kind of like it. Once again, I love that chippy kind of old look. Now I'm going to show you, because I had somebody say when they did this technique they could see the outline. I'm going to show you because this one, the outline is kind of showing through on it a little bit. And I'll just show you what I mean. I don't know if the camera will show it or not, but see how you can kind of see the outline of the Mod Podge here? Sometimes if your fingers are getting dirty too and you're rubbing, that darker color will come off on the edges. But if you're finding you're seeing some of that, I just take a paintbrush, now this has got Mod, and then just kind of lightly just edge it in with this white color that I used as the base, and get as close to the lettering as you can. And that will kind of get rid of that line of the Mod Podge. Make it look a little bit neater and nicer. Okay, thank you for spending the time with us. You're welcome. I actually really enjoy doing lives. I should do it more often. It's fun just to kind of hang out and have you guys ask questions, and not that I can always help you out, but we can always kind of work together. And I have some girls in my comments and guys in my comments. Sometimes I'll have people ask questions and they'll go in and give me a hand and they'll answer the questions for you, and I appreciate that so much because sometimes I can't get right to my comments right away to help you guys out. So thank you for others going in and answering the questions for me. I saw that you saying to use hairspray for an inkjet. What kind of hairspray do you recommend? Okay, so when I said to use hairspray, that's not for this method. That's for decoupaging something flat on to a piece of wood and then putting the Mod Podge on top of the inkjet print. Because what happens, sometimes the ink has a tendency to run with an inkjet printer. When you're introducing your Mod Podge onto that inkjet, that ink will run or will smear as you're putting the Mod Podge on. So if you take your print of your graphics or your photo and you spray it with hairspray, any hairspray, it doesn't matter. You can use the just get some cheapy dollar store hairspray, works fine. Give it a light coat, set it aside, let it dry. Sometimes I'll even put 2 coats of hairspray on it. That will seal the ink into your photo or your graphics, and then when you're decoupaging it onto your sign, the ink will not run. And you can also bake it in the oven too. You can take your printed picture and you can put it in the oven and make sure you get it really, really dry on a really low setting, and that will cure all the ink in your inkjet too. But that's for decoupaging, that's not for this technique. Using the hairspray on this it won't work. Okay, last one. And this one is workshop. Okay. And this is one that is great for a grandpa or a dad, Father's Day, for a Christmas present, for a birthday present. If they have a little workshop, they can put it up on the wall there. They're always so hard to buy for. El Paso, Texas. Hello. Have you ever used the technique of using label paper for doing transfers? Yes, I have, and I love it. It works fantastic. I actually got a couple tutorials on my channel using it. I've used it for a iron-on transfer. I've used it for making signs. I've used it, what else have I used it for? I can't think offhand right now. But yes, it works really, really well. And I also just did a video on doing a transfer with wax paper. I don't know if any of you guys saw that one. It's tricky doing it on the wax paper. With an inkjet, using the wax paper doesn't work on the laser jet. You have to use an inkjet. It's a really tricky technique. I got it to work and it works okay, but it's something that you want to just practice with because it's really easy to smear the ink when you're using that technique. So this technique only works with a laser jet printer. This will work with an inkjet. It just is a little bit more fussy. save this video and put it on my channel, and I'll put the links to all the different videos that will help you out. I have a video where I used an inkjet printer to do this technique, and it works really well too. Just takes a little bit more time and practice to figure it all out and to do it. The biggest difference between the inkjet and the laser jet, the laser jet, when you're doing this, really bonds well into the wood, so the lettering does not rub off all that easy. When you're using an inkjet, the lettering rubs off really easy. You have to use a little bit less water, and you have to use a little bit less pressure when you're rubbing it off, and just take your time. And like I said, most of the time it works really well, but sometimes it can be a bit tricky. Okay. I'm really excited to try the soap decoupage that you showed. Yeah, it's so easy, especially to make for gifts and stuff like that. Make sure you find a bar of soap that's nice and flat that you can decoupage on. Try to stay away from the soap that has the curve on it because it's harder to decoupage, but it works really good. I'm glad you enjoyed it. How do you reverse text in Word? I have a full tutorial on how to reverse text. Step by step. I'll put a link down below after I post this, and you can go and check that out. It's really easy. There's a rotation button up at the top, and you can flip your text really easy there. But I'll put a link down below after this is done, and you can check that out. Can you heat set the graphic with a blow dryer or heat gun if you're in a rush to make a sign? I have tried that. It works okay, but it does not work as well as just letting it sit and cure. I have been in a rush, and I've been, trying to get a sign done faster than that. And it does work okay, but I find that it does rub off a little bit easier than if you just let it kind of sit and cure. Now, I mean, if it's the summer and it's hot out, you can make these signs, put it out in the sun outside, and it will cure faster than overnight because you really just need the Mod Podge to be dry. But I always kind of just go by the set it aside 24 hours overnight and try not to touch it. And I'm impatient. Okay, so we got this one done and looks pretty good. So I'm going to wrap it up here, and I hope this has been helpful for you guys. And if you have any other questions, just put them down in the comments down below. And like I said, I try to get to all of them and answer them and help you out. And I think I'm going to sign off and take these out to my shed and get some polyacrylic sealer on them, put some hardware on the back, and get them finished. So thank you so much for coming on today and hanging out with me. And I think I'm going to do more of these lives. So keep an eye out for that, and watch for tomorrow's video on 5 ways to decoupage. So thanks so much for watching, you guys, and we'll see you in the next video. Take care.